working with all sorts of kids and families. And, partway through that teaching journey, there was a turning point for me when I realized it was the parental involvement that was going to move kids the furthest. Um, at the end of year two, I was at this point where it's like, I'm going to quit. Like I'm done teaching. It's hard. I'm tired. I'm depressed. I was losing weight. I mean, it was this whole thing. But I had in the back of my head this list of things I'd always wanted to do with teaching. And I was like, if I'm going to quit anyways, I might as well do what I wanted to do when I started, which at the top of that list was home visits. So I started visiting my kids at their house. I had dinner with them. I was looking at their books and their resources, talking about the homework, doing all that. And I realized during that time, like, number one, I really like this. I really like being around families. I like seeing the kids outside of school. And number two, some of the little pointers and tips I was giving people, they were putting into place and our kids were growing. So
Right.
I stuck with it and I came back for three and for four and for five. And every year I got parents more and more involved. We had family workshops at school. I had workshops at my house. I went to their houses. Like it was this kind of blending of the two worlds. I moved into my school community and it was like, this magical thing. The class culture got better. The kids were happier. I was happier. Their test scores went up. And that's when I started to get a lot of attention as a teacher for, different teaching awards and for the class data. But it was never like Spencer. It wasn't me getting like that much better as a teacher. It was involving parents and
Mm.
families. And so there's kind of like two concurrent things happening. On this side over here, I learned about the importance of parental involvement and how to do it really, really well. And on the other side, working every day with 5 and 6 and 7 year olds, I knew the importance of early literacy. I could see the difference it made when kids came in knowing how to read versus not. I could see that, some kids would start in the same place, but some kids got better faster and some kids got better slower, and some kids just need more time and attention. And I wanted to make sure when I stepped into this next role that I was doing something that really worked both in. It was something related to the family involvement and something related to the early literacy thing. So after teaching, um, I worked at a nonprofit in education. We did professional development for teachers, and so we trained them in a reading curriculum. That's the job I worked when we had my son when he was a baby, because it was just kind of a helpful thing to be doing at that time. And then after that, in 2021, I quit that job and started Toddlers Can Read full time. And
Mm.
kind of had these kind of two worlds come together where I had worked with my son in his reading, and I had kind of proven and seen it's possible with a 2 year old, and wanted to just get this out to more people. I thought the name Toddlers Can Read would be a little bit provocative. I thought it would get attention, which it did. And so now, I think it's where you and I are very aligned. It's the goal is like we don't have to have school do this. We don't have to wait for someone else to teach our kids. We don't need someone's permission. If your kid's showing readiness, if they're interested, if you want to support them, or if they're behind and they need help and they need support, you can do it. And there's so many reasons why you can do it as a parent, but that's what I truly believe. And I want to empower parents to just take this into their own hands and help support their kid.
I love that. And with you being, having seen them when they first enter into school, into the public school system as far as kindergarten goes. Mind you, heaven sent, I always say elementary school teachers are little fallen angels that say, you know what, I'll go in the classroom. I got you. Cause I couldn't do that. I did middle and high school. No elementary. That was, oh my, that was a lot. But kindergarten teachers definitely fallen angels. Y'all are amazing. And I appreciate your efforts and understanding the parent involvement. That's what I saw lacking in middle and high school. I didn't know it was lacking as much as it was until my own entered into elementary and I was at the, open houses and all the events and all that good stuff. And I was like, well, where your parents at? Like, it's first grade. Where your parents at? Like, I thought that they just fell off come middle school or high school because, they're older kids. But no, I saw parent involvement being lacking in elementary school. So recognizing that kind of changed your whole trajectory of your approach to teaching.
Yeah, and I'll say in my specific context, I taught in a um, in like a zip code in a school district that was like formerly one of the worst in the state of Texas.
Mm.
That school district got shut down and absorbed by HISD.
Oh,
But if you
wow.
think about the families who had lived there, it's a lot of families who had been failed by school.
Yes.
There's not necessarily like this really big web of trust between the parent and the school community. There's like parents who made it through middle school or maybe some of high school, very few who went to college, who had by and large a relatively negative experience, at least as it relates to academics and to resources and to facilities. And what I saw among some of my colleagues was like a frustration with parents for not being more involved and for not coming to events and doing these various different things. And my mindset was like, trust is earned. And if I want to bring someone into a system that failed them, I've got to earn that person's trust. I'm not going to assume you're coming to an event because I'm throwing it. Like I'm going to take every opportunity that you show up in person as a gift, and I'm going to work really, really hard to get you to the next one. And I'm going to communicate to you that your kid's the most important thing in my life. I will do everything it takes to help your kid be successful. I'd say it over and over and over again until people believed it. And the parent buy-in would start and it would build. And hopefully you pass that on to the next teacher and they build that and the next teacher builds that. But I think, you know, sometimes as educators, that can be this, it's almost like this easy excuse to say, oh, parents just don't want to be involved or they don't care. It's like they really do,
Okay,
but
do.
sometimes there's a lack of trust in the system. And many times there's a lack of knowledge and awareness. That's a big part of where Toddlers Can Read comes in. It's like people are trying to help their kids read, but they don't know how to say the sounds. They literally just haven't been taught how to do the thing. So we need to build the trust with people and we need to educate them and teach them how to do the thing so that then they can jump in and support their kids the way that they would like to.
Yes, I'm so glad you spoke on the trust as far as the parent involvement goes. Me and my co-teacher talked about this. I had a seventh grader who was reading on the kindergarten grade level, and we
Oh,
talked about the fact that her mom couldn't read. Like my co-teacher, who was the sped teacher, she had a relationship with the parents and everything, so she understood the level of, I guess, miseducation that her mother had received also. And so her involvement in her child's education was the bare minimum. Because like you said, she didn't trust the school. Like, why would you trust a school system that
mm-hmm.
clearly failed you if you're an adult and have reproduced and now your adult children, you're seeing the same cycle being happen? It's a lot. It's a lot. And
Yeah.
that's that school, like teachers are powerful. I still talk about my 10th and 8th grade math teachers that I feel traumatized me in the math department. So
Wow.
understanding that trauma happens and those traumatic experiences definitely carry on with you and you get detached from whatever it is that caused you that harm, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm glad you brought that up because I don't think that's talked about enough as far as parents have these issues that they're trying to
Yeah.
work through, and you want them to go back in the same school system that you don't
Yeah.
know if somebody talked to them crazy there, you don't know if somebody brought them down or whatever it is. It's just something occurred that left them like, no, I'm gonna send you there, but don't talk to me about any of it, and don't think that I'm about to come up there. So I definitely
Yeah.
don't think it's a, oh, parents don't want to be involved. I think it's parents don't understand the importance of their involvement. They're not made or told just how important they are in their children's educational journey, whatever
Yeah.
that dynamic looks like for them.
I agree. And maybe to take it further, I think there's times when parents are told that they're not as important in the kid's journey. Like I've heard messages to parents of like, don't worry about this. School's got it covered. I've heard it from school and I've heard it from social media. The social media part drives me crazy because we have all these influencers and people with like these huge followings who have a responsibility to empower parents and to help parents take charge of their kids' education, who instead are very dismissive and disempowering. And it's kind of like parenting is so hard, throw your hands in the air and give up. I'm not with any of that. And they tell parents like, don't worry about it. Your kid doesn't need to do this or this. They only need this. Don't worry, school's got it covered. And it's like that's giving a lot of your kid's life over to school. And that's trusting
Please talk about
someone
it.
who you don't know to do a large part of your responsibility as the parent. And this isn't even about toddlers reading. I could care less if your toddler's reading, but it's about things that you could teach at home. This also has nothing to do with homeschooling, because this is whether you send your kid to school or not. It's like there's a responsibility as a parent to teach and to coach and to educate your child. And it's a lot to give that to a teacher. But you also have schools and you have teachers and educators, not all, but some who I don't think they trust the parent. Just like the parent might not trust the school, they don't trust the parent to be able to teach their kids to read or to be able to teach their kid math or to be able to teach XYZ skill. So they'll just tell the parent, just read to them for 20 minutes a night. The teacher doesn't believe that's going to make them a better reader, but the teacher is just giving them something to do. If you believed that the parent could teach the kid, you would teach the parent about phonics and you would teach the parent about Common Core math and you would kind of show the different ways these things break down and how to track it at home. So I've got lots of thoughts. I think you're
I
getting
know, always. No,
the
I no.
unscripted me today, but
And I
it's
appreciate that. Yes, no, because I'm gonna bring it out of you because I feel like it's the great divide. Like I really do, like divide and conquer type deal. I don't understand why teachers and parents would be on one side and one on the other. I talked about I'm seeing my mom's report card, and on the front of it, it was like a whole script about how parents are needed and appreciated, and like thank you for your work that you do, and like just a whole praise of parents on the front of your child's report card. And that was in the '60s, or well, my mom was born in '63, so I'm gonna say like pushing to the '70s. Till we get to this point of like we're in 2025, where it's like the social media banter of no teachers got this, you're not qualified, or
mm-hmm.
you haven't gone to college, or teachers go do this and all this stuff. And I tell people all the time, baby, I got a few degrees, and I will tell you it don't mean much. I promise you, it doesn't mean much, because the care and the love it has to lead the way with everything. And I don't understand why it would not be a partnership with the school and the home. I feel like the school and community in general should have a grand partnership. Like I feel a public school should be like forefront. Like they should have events, they should have family nights, they should have things for all of the community that they're in, because there is such a important structure in that community. And
Yep.
I don't understand how we got to the point of the division where, oh, just send them here, just send them here, just send them here. But then you're gonna talk about them once they get here and they're ill-equipped, or that they're not where you want them to be. But instead of you reaching out or bringing in the parent, it's like all right, I guess we'll figure it out. I guess, I don't know what it is, because like I said, I had seventh graders read on the kindergarten grade level. I had 10th graders read on the third grade level. I had seniors reading on the third grade level. So it's a disconnect that takes place early on,
Mm-hmm.
where it hurts. It hurts the child.
Yep.
It hurts everyone. It really does. And that's why it's so like Toddlers Can Read is so dope, because like, first of all, okay, let's talk about kindergarten. Let's talk about
Yep.
kindergarten. Um, what was eye-opening for me, as far as, like I told you, elementary wasn't a big thing for me in general as far as teaching goes. My talents were in middle and high. But when I had my own, of course, it was like, oh, okay, boom, we hit it. So my daughter did pre-K 3 and pre-K 4, and then she went to kindergarten. When I went to her kindergarten open house, her kindergarten teacher told me the previous year she had 9 students. She had a total of 22 students. I'll never forget these numbers. She had a total of 22 students, and 9 of those students had never touched a pencil before, did not know how to hold a pencil. Of course, didn't know the ABCs, things of that nature. And so that has always stuck with me. And it's like, okay, well, where do you start as a kindergarten teacher like that? And knowing that there's only one teacher in kindergarten classes now,
Yep.
that was crazy to me. I didn't know that was a thing too until my daughter was there. It's like, it's only one of you to handle all of these. Like, this is a lot. So how was your starts? How was your classes look? Because you say you was in the roughest of the roughest. So
Yeah. I had anywhere from 24 to 28 kids in my class.